This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, participants, and welcome to our expert. So we have entered to day 4 of 5-day online Atal FDP on high-speed wireless and optical technologies covering global network. So there's an announcement for the participants that they, in order to get the certificate, they have to fulfill 2 criteria. The first criteria is to complete the attendance of, including all the sessions, it should be 80%. Second is the regarding the test, that they have to get minimum 60% marks in the test, which is scheduled tomorrow as per our schedule at 3:30 p.m. So with this announcement, I welcome ma'am, Dr. Jyoti Kedia. She is from Punjab Engineering College. She'll be talking about on-chip optical interconnects for future multi-core processors. So now I would request Ashi to formally welcome ma'am.
Morning, everyone. Dr. Jyoti Kedia is working as an assistant professor at Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh since 2006. She did BTech from MDU Rohtak in 2002 and Masters from Thapar University in 2004, and then she joined JP University of Information and Technology in 2004 itself. She did her PhD from PEC while in service. She has developed VLSI Lab and Photonics Integrated Circuit Design Lab in the Department of ECE at PEC and is actively participating in research by way of in-house projects, member in establishment of clean room facility at PEC under FISD funding from DST, which is worth 2.5 crore. She has guided around 20 MTech thesis students and she is guiding 2 PhD thesis students and has published around 50 research articles in reputed international journals. Her area of interest includes VLSI and photonic integrated circuit and device design. Today, she'll be talking about on-chip optical interconnects for future multi-core processors. We welcome you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Ashi. Thank you, Professor Shilpa, for such a nice introduction. So,
welcome, ma'am.
My screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So, dear participants, you all must have been listening to the expert talks on optical communication, high-speed optical communication. That is topic of this faculty development program. Okay, and today I'll be talking about a little different from global interconnects or global networks. But although we are working on networks, but at chip scale level. Okay, so you see optical technology or optics, or you can say optical optics, I can say, or light technology has reached to each and every corner of our daily lives. Okay, so let us see how they have penetrated even to our computers, or they are trying to penetrate to our handheld devices. Okay, so I'll be talking about on-chip optical interconnects for future multi-core processors, how they are viable candidate for working or for establishing connections between the multi-cores in our future processors. Okay, so briefly about that, and then we'll discuss more about what kind of research is going on in case of on-chip optics. So it is a very recent, very emerging, and you can say very well upcoming technology, which is need of the day, because we are working on scaling down the devices. We are already, I think, we have reached to the maximum possible extent that further miniaturization is even not possible with the current devices. Either we need to modify the devices or we need to modify the technology. Okay, so that ways optics is going, or researchers are looking for alternatives where we can further scale down our electronic devices. Okay, so let us look at that, where optical communication fits into the ICs. Okay, so all this you must have been listening for last 3-4 days, but just to give further impact of how photonics it impacts our daily lives. So we are all aware that healthcare is not possible, or healthcare where it has reached all kind of scans possible, or tomography, ophthalmology. So whatever advancement is there is because of two reasons. One is the silicon technology, obviously, that we all are aware of, and the use of optics in that, because optics is, you can say, can be controlled that way that it cannot harm, it is not disturbing, it just creates its own way. Okay, so diagnostic instruments, tomography, ophthalmology, or you can say almost all other healthcare products are having photonics in that. Then we have smarter and safer transportation, license plate recognitions, or you can say optical that recognitions in your banks. Okay, when we go to shopping, there we find scanners. Okay, there we find that barcode scanners and all. So you just think of anything and you'll get live there and optics there. So we can control speed by way they measure the speed. Okay, then we have lidar. Okay, so that is for safer and smarter transportation. Then we have smarter factories. Okay, how do we do that? We cut, we weld, we perforate with lasers. Okay, and we can have inline optical inspection also using this optics. Okay, then we have digital world. Okay, so we just talk about anything next generation transceivers. Digital world is all, it is including everything, like from our daily electronics, where optics is being used mainly for communication purpose. Then we have free space optical communication. I would request Professor Pradeep. Yeah. Okay, so then we have, yeah, so then we have optics in defense. Microwave photonics is another emerging branch, okay, where we can use RF over photonics so that we can communicate in for defense applications. Okay, then we have on chip. This is altogether, this is not very old, although the concept of communication via light, via optics is little, I should say, it is very old, but on chip communication has not been possible. Okay, so it is you can say hot area to research upon multiprocessor interconnections, or you can say how we can integrate optics and electronics. Okay, then we have sensors. Okay, you name anything and we have an optical sensor there for structural health monitoring, or for detection of gases, or for industrial applications. Okay, like we have in our nuclear reactors, all kind of sensors are photonics based only. Okay, so this is, I think these are even not very generic or not very exclusive, what I have mentioned here, but the photon impact of photonics is way more than this. Okay, so this is just I could gather upon, and further in between these there are lot of applications using photonics. Okay, so this is the current state of art. I would like to bring to your kind notice that Intel, these are few things which Intel has proposed or Intel has published, that we can use photonics in silicon, okay, with low energy. Okay, so that give rise to saving energy and saving power. And Intel has also published that miniaturized silicon photonics is an electrical interconnect alternative that we'll be discussing about. Okay, so till now why, if it has been so much in research, then why it is not in our hands till today? Okay, there is a little big, I would say not big, but nowadays it is a little problem left in designing the active components on chip. Okay, see, the silicon industry, mainly the electronics industry, is really conservative in accepting any technology which is new, because see how much investment has been done in silicon. It is a mature technology now. Okay, see how miniaturized devices we have, like means everything is, you can say, interchangeable. You can use your phone as a laptop, you can use laptop as a phone, you can use your TV as phone or TV as laptop, anything. All the things are intermixed now. Okay, and we have each, means if each one of us has all of these devices. So the phone, the communication or the data that we need today, how frequent, how means you can say the speed that we require today, 4G and 5G, these are only possible because of the optical communication only. Okay, so there is no other alternative to this optical in case of communication. Okay, so so that is why even industries are establishing their research centers or their research groups to work upon the possibility of using the optics in silicon. Okay, or in, you can say, on ICs. So some relief has been given or is there to the industry or to the researchers in a way that they are devising the few technologies to design the active devices on silicon or silicon based active devices for photonics, maybe lasers, modulators, photodetectors, because we know that silicon is not transparent. It is transparent, but it is not direct band gap semiconductor. So there is a possibility or bleak chances of silicon being used as an active device, maybe laser or photodetector. But there are few alternative materials which are used. Okay, so we look at that. We will look at, and it is again, you can say, the latest research area. Okay, so anybody who can tell me, have you heard about the word silicon photonics? If yes, can you tell me what do you mean by silicon photonics? Any rough idea, not necessarily the correct definition.
Ma'am, I think it is using a silicon as an material and design the device.
Okay, correct, ma'am. So silicon photonics, sometimes also known as fabless photonics or fabless lab. Okay, we also sometimes call silicon photonics as fabless photonics. Why? Because see, as I just told you, that the photonics people are working on using silicon as the material. Okay, so that is why we call silicon photonics. Why they are focusing more on using silicon for photonic devices? So that whatever is the mature technology we have for IC fabrication, we need not to establish a separate or we need not to that invest further this much huge amount for fabricating photonics separately, when we already have a matured technology in case of IC fabrication. Okay, so silicon photonics is using silicon for photonic devices. Okay, so we are using or we are combining photonics and our silicon devices or CMOS. So whenever we talk about something on chip, it is always looked at that whether we are having it is CMOS compatible or not. Okay, so because cost is, you see, is one of the most important aspect and one of the most important you can say driving factor to accept or reject any technology. Okay, so we are using cutting edge photonics along with the cost effective fabrication that we have in case of silicon. Okay, so if you see, the Intel has already established or already published that, or already declared that the co-integration is key to delivering performance and cost optimized optical transceivers. So this is the only option. Okay, if we are going for a new technology, silicon photonics or photonics, then they will be, these two will be separated, and these will not be combined to give us a better device, a better technology. Okay, so still it is not used or it is not commercial, it is still under research, but it is no doubt a potential candidate in terms of the amount of data or throughput it offers. Okay, the energy consumption it reduces huge, that we'll just see after a few slides. Okay, and that is why the silicon technology is researched in various different aspects of looking at the possibility of fabricating photonics along with silicon, but separately. So we are not having a complete system as of now, but a huge research is going on in one or the other aspect of photonics itself. Okay, so that is why till date no product is available, but at research institutes, or you can say the research centers of the companies, or you can say big brothers like Intel, IBM, they are just having their research groups, and they are making small ICs, silicon photonic ICs, where they can have a complete system. Okay, but not a particular or proper commercial product is available to date. Okay, but no doubt our optics is very promising in this area also, so it won't leave this IC industry without getting into it. Okay, so this we have already discussed. This you can see silicon photonics. This is 300 nanometer wafer. Okay, and this is one of the silicon photonic integrated circuit snapshot. Okay, and silicon photonic is also embedded in modern world applications, such as this is, I think, one of the camera. Okay, so one thing that makes silicon photonics, or that restricts its usage to be used independently without CMOS, is that we cannot control light. Like we can have buffers in our electronic devices. Okay, we can control the flow of electrons. Okay, but we cannot control the flow of light. Okay, it has to be given a path if it has been launched. Okay, so that is why we cannot have, you can say, altogether silicon IC possible without the intervention of your CMOS electronics. Okay, so that is why we have to combine. There is, I don't think any other option is there. Okay, so just let us, although we all are aware of the advantages, okay, of photonics, same advantages of the photonics are carried to silicon photonics as well when photonics is used on chip. Okay, so silicon photonic integrated circuits. So like, you know, fiber is also a waveguide, which is you can say cylindrical, or okay, so this kind of our fiber is there. So this is circular waveguide. Okay, but the circular waveguide is not possible on you can say our wafers, because that is a planar technology. Okay, so we may have rectangular cross sections on an IC for waveguides, or you can say optical waveguides. So same way, silicon photonics, you can say waveguides on an IC are nothing but rectangular. Okay, and we all are aware of what is the coherent cladding refractive indices difference in case of optical fiber. It is point something, 0.1 or 0.2. Okay, whereas in case of silicon photonics, if we are making a waveguide, the contrast ratio of core and cladding is nearly equal to 1.5, or it may reach 2. So you see this much contrast ratio, okay, between the core and cladding leads to what? It is making the light to be highly confined in the core area. Okay, although we are just the light is traveling just few millimeters of the distance, okay, or maybe a few centimeters when we are talking about an IC. Okay, so highly confined and covering you can say centimeters of distances, then we'll say there will be no losses at all. But due to a separate technology, due to separate or different materials, there are few losses, but still it is highly confined. Okay, and it offers higher bandwidth, low power consumption. That all is the inherent advantages of photonics, and low cost. Okay, so when we have high confinement, losses will be less, so we can have more and more number of channels, so we can have higher rate, bit rate, data rate, even we can reach to terabytes or beyond if possible. Okay, so it has to be CMOS compatible. So CMOS circuit obviously drives our photonic circuits, and so both go hand in hand. Okay, so silicon photonics is no different from our normal photonics or normal optics. The only difference is we are bringing, or we are scaling it down. We are just making it from kilometers of fiber to few centimeters of the optical waveguide. And same goes with the other components. Okay, so just to brief upon what type of or advantage does optics offer to our on-chip interconnects. Fine, so this I'll just quickly review that we used to have long haul and metro LAN using optical fibers. Then came rack to rack data communication from let us say this century after 2000, and optics was started being used for rack to rack communication. Okay, then came board to board communication. Fine, although it will be it may be little old, but still you can say we are lying at this level only, that is board to board. Okay, from one PCB or one IC to another IC, communication is done via optics or optical fibers. Then now we are working on chip to chip or on chip. So this you can see, this is chip to chip communication, one IC to another IC, not even one board to another board, but now one IC to another IC, and we have on chip communication as well possible. So from up to rack we call them optical fiber, and beyond that we call them optical waveguides. Although waveguide is you can say the generic name, but still we differentiate fiber from the waveguide. Okay, so first of all, let us understand what is the motivation, why we are bringing optics to IC level. See, first of all, one thing we need to understand on an IC, see, we cannot, as of now, we cannot manipulate light. Okay, although we are having all optical adders, subtractors, these kind of functions right now available, but optics cannot compete with electronics in that we are all aware of. Okay, so optics is only feasible to have communication on an IC. Okay, so why it is that see, nowadays we are looking for higher and higher speed. Either we are, let us say we are talking about the processors. So when we go for purchasing a laptop, we just ask them how fast is it, how much is the RAM, okay, how much is the processor speed. Fine, and when we are going from with that P4, okay, Pentium 4 to Quad 4, then we have Core 2 Duo, then we have i3, i5, i7. So within every 6 months or a year maximum, we are getting more and more advanced, or more and more, you can say, dense processors. Okay, so we are increasing the number of cores. I hope you people are aware of these words. Number of cores, these are very common terms which we use in case of processors. Okay, so processors may, cores are nothing but the one unit which is responsible for one kind of processing. So we have our GPU processors also nowadays separate. Okay, and we have multi cores. So number of cores on processors are increasing. So what will happen when we are leading for the higher and higher speed? Okay, so let us say if we have an IC, I am explaining it here only, although it may be coming few slides later. So let us say this is an IC, and this is, let us say, i4 or i7 processor. Okay, so if and I assume it to be single core. Okay, so if it is single core, and if we are increasing the speed, means the switching speed of the transistor is increasing. Okay, so it is switching fast. So zeros and ones which this transistor is sending or generating or transmitting will be very fast. Okay, now let us say I want my communication to establish from this transistor here to this transistor here. That is altogether diagonally opposite on an IC. Okay, so this is single core and same IC, and this transistor wants to communicate all through here. Okay, now if it is, we are making our devices better. Right now we are no more working on MOSFET, we are working on FinFET. So we are improving upon devices, no doubt. Okay, so devices are improving, so they are getting fast. But what will happen if this device is very fast? Okay, this device is also very fast, but the communication channel between these two, okay, I'll show that why this is not improved at the speed which at which your devices are improving. We'll just see. So if this channel is not improved at the speed or at the rate at which this device is improved, what will happen? By the time, let us say it has transmitted 1 and 0. So by the time this 1 and 0 reaches here, the clock with which these two devices are synchronized, that may lapse. Okay, because clock is also as per the switching speed of your device or switching speed of your processor. Okay, so channel will take its own time to transfer the data, okay, from one end to the other end. Improvement has not been done much on the interconnects, although with time the interconnects has become poor. Okay, so I'll just tell you why it has become poor. So no more these two devices will be synchronized. Okay, if they are not synchronized, then what is the fun of increasing the speed? So that will give a tighter bound, that will bound the logic access on an IC. Along with that, if we are switching at such a high speed, so switching also leads to high power dissipation. Okay, and that power dissipation increases exponentially. So it has been predicted that by, let us say, next 5 to 10 years, if interconnects are not improved on an IC, 80% of the power will be consumed by the interconnects. No matter how much we have improved upon devices, no matter how much fast our devices and latest our devices are, but the interconnects are so much power hungry that they won't leave any power for the devices to work. then what is the fun of it? If we keep on increasing the number of cores, the intercommunication, the intercore communication will be affected, obviously. So one core, if it is not able to communicate to the other core, they won't be able to synchronize. They won't be able to work harmoniously. Okay, so this is the most important thing, that is bringing the researchers on one platform to how to improve the interconnects. Okay, so there is so much pressure upon the electronic interconnects working right now. Okay, so I just told you, so like if you people have studied one or the two courses in a VLSI, you must be knowing that transistor gate length is decreasing. Okay, metal layer pitch is also decreasing. Okay, and voltages are scaling down. Fine. Along with when we are improving one technology to the other technology. Scaling, when we are scaling down, you see it affects memory and wires differently. Wire here, I mean interconnects, fine, because like in our breadboards, we connect with the wires. So here also on an IC, interconnects, we can call them wires. So if you remember, what was the cost of a few, let us say, megabytes or kilobytes pen drive 10 years back or 15 years back? It was very high. Okay, it costed very, you can say, pretty. Okay, so and now pen drives like 64 GB or even more than that, or if we talk about the hard disks, SSDs, so they are so cheap, and the memory size, you see, it is huge, even more than what our laptop can offer to us. Okay, so why so? Because when we are scaling down, the performance of the memory improves, because it is very logical and organized structure, you know. There's all together same kind of cells, so they can be compressed very easily, they can be scaled down very easily. But when we have different set of modules, for example in our processor, okay, so the different modules cannot be scaled down with the same rate. So same goes with the wires. What happened, let us say, let me tell you just fundamental fact. If this is the wire, okay, let me draw it three-dimensional way, because on an IC we always put rectangular things. Okay, it is planar. So this is a kind of wire. Cross section is this, having a particular width and height, and this is the length of the wire. Okay, so when we scale down, okay, when we are putting, scaling down means putting more and more number of transistors, and so obviously more number of connections will be required. So if more number of connections are required, so number of wires are going to be increased, and if number of wires are going to be increased, we have to adjust more and more number of wires on the same area. Okay, so size of ICs has not increased, obviously we know that. So that is why we call it metal layer pitch, metal layer pitch. So this size reduces by, let us say, factor S. Height is also reduced by the factor S. Okay, but do you think length will decrease? Anybody? Any idea? When we are talking about an IC, this is an IC. Okay, IC size has not reduced. So obviously, if I want to communicate from this point to this point, the distance will remain same. Okay, so the global level wires length do not change. Okay, but small modules which are now introduced, they improve because their length also decrease. But when we want to have global communication over an IC from one end to the other end, the length of those wires won't change. If that won't change, what will be the resistance? Resistance is nothing but rho L upon A. Okay, where this L is this length, fine. Area has now reduced, so it is length, width is W by S, height is H by S. So you see effectively what is the resistance? Rho S square L upon A. Okay, so this is new resistance. So new resistance is S square times the old resistance, S square R. So means when we are scaling down, when we are improving the devices, when we are focusing more on speed of the devices, our interconnects performance is going to deteriorate because resistance is increasing, capacitance will increase because distance between the two wires decrease. So epsilon A upon D, that we are all aware of. So if D decreases, the capacitance will increase. And if R and C both increase, what will increase then in effect? Delay increases. Okay, switching activity has increased, fine. So wires, switching activity has increased, delay has increased, so power dissipation, that will also increase. Okay, so that is why we are saying then when we are talking about scaling trends, the resistance, the capacitance, the delay, the power dissipation is going to affect our wires in a huge way. Okay, so it is going to be deteriorated in to an extent that we won't be able to cover it up. Our devices won't be able to perform to the extent they can because they are not able to communicate through wires. Okay, so that is why the researchers are looking for the alternative technologies. How can we see? There is no option. Okay, one thing what we are left here to improve upon is the resistivity only. Length and area is going to behave the same way with scaling down. So resistivity can be improved. We can use different materials to improve upon the resistivity. That has also been done, okay, till now, and that has given a little relief. Okay, so this I've already discussed, so I won't waste time here. Yeah, so resistivity can be improved by choosing different material. So earlier we used to have aluminium, now we use copper, and copper has lower resistivity as compared to aluminium. Okay, and in between the wires, when we are having multiple wires running over the IC, let us say we have two wires running over, and so in between there is a dielectric, or you can say separation with the help of an insulator so that they do not cross talk. Okay, so this insulation length or insulation width also decreases with scaling. Okay, so we need to use a better dielectric or a better insulator so that crosstalk does not happen. So you see, when we go for improving one thing, we need to look at 10 other things, and their effect is going to cost us very high, you can say. It is too much. Okay, so the IC people went for copper, but copper also brought few disadvantages with it. One is it has high electromigration resistance. Okay, this is the advantage. Okay, and it has low resistivity. It resulted in reduction in number of metal layers. At the same time, it has few disadvantages. Okay, disadvantages like it has poor adhesion to silicon dioxide, which is our common insulator in case of ICs. Fast diffusion of copper, so copper diffuses into the silicon dioxide, so our obviously wires won't be able to perform better. And copper also corrodes. Okay, so it just get corrodes with time. Okay, so that also leads to a poor performance. Although we still are working with copper, we are just somehow managing with copper, but in near future we need to have a new technology. Okay, So yeah, these are few disadvantages, like barrier, or you can say insulator, that also leads to you can say that tries to occupy more and more area. And another is surface scattering effects. I'm not going to very deep because these are few physical um, effects which are going to take place when we are scaling down. Okay, so these are few things which copper brings with it. Okay, so what to do now? So researchers went for looking at new technologies. Okay, they went with two more technologies. Sorry, three. One is RF. Okay, RF interconnects. Instead of electrical, we can have RF interconnects. Then we can have optical interconnects, and then we can have 3D interconnects. Okay, so you must have heard about 3D ICs. Okay, so right now we are all having ICs on one plane, okay, or in XY dimensions. But now researchers are thinking of putting one IC on the top of the other, so that the interconnects on the same plane are reduced and they can bind one over the other on the top of each other. Okay, so these are three alternatives that has been suggested, but out of these three, optical comes out to be the best. Okay, so interconnect bottlenecks to communicate from one CPU to the other, one core to other, or from one memory to the other memory. Okay, so this is a network that is required to be established. So I just told you, I see people are very conservative, they are very rigid, they do not accept new technology very soon. So what do? That they just thought of a new thing, new technology in case of ICs itself with electrical interconnects. So like we have in you can say networks. Okay, when we are communicating through networks or computer networks, so there we have routing. Okay, so we route our data through one or the other channel. Okay, and this is how they suggested few things, establishing a network on chip, NOC. Okay, so NOC is like, see, right now we work upon hierarchical buses. Okay, so networking either point to point, that also we can see how much mesh it will create. Bus architecture, or maybe hierarchical bus that we nowadays follow, AMBA bus or all kind of bus technologies are available. Okay, but they have a problem of arbitration. Arbitration means let us say we have a common bus here, if you see. So if this one of the device is already communicating, let us say these two are communicating, and others also communicate at the same, want to communicate at the same time, so they have to wait. Okay, so they have to be in queue. So token must be given to them, you first, you second, you third, and you fourth. Okay, because there is just one route to follow. Okay, so these kind of problems come with interconnection types. So that is why with wires, network on chip, like I told you, computer networks routing kind of thing, that is also not possible, because wires are still electrical. You see, electrical wires have still the same problem of delay and power consumption, whether you bring a new connection technology or not. Okay, so new connection technology, I mean technology here, network on chip. Okay, routing strategies. So there's no relief in that. Okay, so what to do? So we have three possible technologies I just told you: RF interconnects, 3D interconnects, optical interconnects. So if we compare these three, bandwidth we know higher in RF, optical interconnect is maximum possible, that we all know. 3D has better than 2D. Like 2D, we are talking about normal ICs. Delay is limited by the medium that we are talking about in RF interconnect. okay, because it is wire free or wireless. Then 3D interconnects, we have good delay, okay, because it is reduced because they are vertical. Then we have optical interconnects, which are limited by devices, obviously, because first thing is that optical transmitters and receivers are controlled by electronics. Second thing is the communication. Although waveguide itself has huge capacity, but the devices which are used in between, let us say repeaters, amplifiers, although amplifiers are not required on an IC, but modulators, photodetectors, okay, and so these kind of devices, maybe other passive devices which we need on an IC to work with, wavelength selective filters and all this, so they limit the delay. Okay, density is high for all. Power consumed is very low for optical interconnects and RF interconnects. Okay, and voltage isolation, we know it is very good in case of optical interconnects. Okay, then we have physical safety. That is obviously best for optical interconnects, not possible in case of so voltage isolation is good, physical safety is good, okay, and it is CMOS compatible best. Okay, so the best option is that it is CMOS compatible. I'm sorry. So it is CMOS compatible. Okay, so if we look at, this is just a qualitative comparison. I'm not comparing in terms of the actual figures. Okay, but see, we can understand that optical interconnect are viable. Okay, or they will be obviously more preferred because they can be developed along with the silicon. Okay, and they do offer more advantages such as isolation, physical CMOS compatibility, and they also give us, you can say, good density and bandwidth. Okay, so it has more wattage, we can see. Okay, so these are all repeated advantages of optical interconnects. So this is how you see our optical interconnects are being thought about by the researchers, by the industry, that what to do. See, there is a roadmap which is created by industry people for means what is going to be the performance of ICs in next coming 20 years. So they have been looking at, if you can see, there is an ITRS roadmap. You can just go and check. Okay, ITRS roadmap. So there you will find few things in red highlighted. That will be nothing but delay and power in case of interconnects. Just please go and check. So this is, you can say, putting pressure on researchers, putting pressure on industry, that you have to do something to alleviate those things which have been predicted as of now. Okay, so bringing optics to ICs has been helped by developing very novel and new devices which are very much miniaturized, which are very much CMOS compatible. So like I told you before, that people are not working on communication, optical communication system altogether to be available on chip, but no doubt they are working on developing new devices, optical devices on chip. So we generally call that photonic devices. Okay, so like you see, we have discrete components like LEDs. Okay, so this is the previous, you can say, devices which are discrete available, LEDs or lasers. Then we have hybrid integration. So we have this much, this you can say module where this is on chip and it is connected to the fiber then. Okay, so this is at least on chip. This is an IC which is developed. Then we have optical and electronics, so which can control our optical devices. So you see this is controller, okay, and this is from where the light will be coming optically. Optical, you can say fiber will be connected here. Okay, and this is monolithic integration. Monolithic integration, these are again discrete devices you see. So, and this is now monolithically we can develop, we can fabricate our optical devices along with the electronic devices. So see how much our photonics has evolved. Okay, and this is only possible because of the advanced electronic fabrication technologies. Okay, so that has brought, that has pushed optics to an extent that now we can see light on an IC also. Okay, so we can work upon these individual modules. Fine. So if you see here, photonic NOC, NOC is again network on chip. Okay, so like I told you, photonics on an IC can only be used for establishing communication, maybe one core to other core or one core to your memories, whatever. Your photonics in currently in there is no means it is in no picture that we can use it for manipulation of the data. No, it is just for the communication. Okay, so you see it is, these are several layers of the communication. Okay, or several layers on an IC, and these are memory layers. This is your photonic NOC, and bottom one is your core or electronic circuitry actual. Okay, so this is how it communicates. So it is core A up to E, H, and they are communicating via light. So data is transmitted from core E to C via or through the help of optical communication. So this is just, you can say, a vision, okay, that how actual communication may take place if it happens somehow. Okay. Okay, so again, if we talk about optical NOCs, there are two types of possible, passive and active. Okay, active such as your data paths, that your path that data is following from one core to the other may be different every time depending upon which route is available, like we do in computer networks. Okay, whereas in case of passive, once we have established the paths, always the data will be going through that path. Okay, so no, you can say selection of route and all. So obviously if there is no such thing required, then it is going to be contention free. There will be no clash of the route. So we won't say that route is right now not available and we have to wait. No. So it will be contention free always, but it will be limited by the number of channels. Okay. So number of channels will be limited, and for large scale, you can say for too many number of cores, it may not be possible. Because if we increase the number of channels or number of wavelengths, so will be the number of lasers required. And right now we do not have so many lasers. See, and another thing that pops up now, if silicon is not suitable for active devices, we need to bring 3-5 devices. 3-5, if you are aware of gallium nitride, GaN, indium gallium arsenide, InGaAs. Okay, so there is again a hybrid integration required of silicon and these 3-5 materials. So you just sometimes there is so much of the things available to research upon, so you just need to narrow down that what I should work upon. Are we going for the system level, or we are going for the device level, active device or passive device? Okay, and you need to choose your application. Accordingly, you need to choose your material. Okay, and material available are also variety. Okay, so these are few key building blocks that you may research upon. So this is your wavelength selective filter. Okay, this is multiple ring filter. This is 2-ring filter. So light, if it is resonating, then light which it is inputting through here, it will be transmitted and through this. Okay, sorry, if it is resonating, then it will be transmitted through this. Okay, it will be connected to the ring and it will be following this path. And if it is not resonating, then it will be passing through this. Okay, so this is add drop filter, you can say. This is add, this is through port, and this is drop port. So when it resonates, it drops, and when this ring does not resonate, it just passes through. Okay, so all these are made up in silicon. Okay, this is germanium on silicon, or silicon germanium, you can say. So this is receiver or photodetector, and this is modulator. Okay, so you'll find many, you can say, variety of the structures, variety of the shapes, okay, for devices or for nanowires. Okay, so you need to research upon, and you need to survey upon all that. Okay, so just few materials which I would like to bring to your kind notice, that we have 3-5 materials available for visible light and near infrared. So near infrared range is given 0.7 to 4 micrometer, and mid infrared is 4 to 8 micrometer wavelength range. Okay, silicon work for MIR and NIR both. So silicon, as we all know, it is low cost, CMOS compatible, high index contrast for strong confinement. So if confinement is more, we can have, or we can reduce the size of the waveguide. So footprint will become small. Okay, so disadvantages: indirect band gap. Okay, electro-optic effect is almost not available or nil. Okay, and lossy, comparatively lossy. Okay, as compared to fibers or commercial optical waveguides, and it does not emit light very efficiently like in lasers. Okay, 3-5 materials are very good. Okay, but they are CMOS incompatible, we all know that. So they need separate, you can say, substrate. Okay, and so we cannot have silicon as a substrate. Okay, then we may have polymers also to be used as optical materials on an IC. We may have silica. We have few other materials: silicon nitride and lithium niobate. Okay, then silicon germanium. These are also few materials available. Latest 2D materials are also very much in demand, or you can say under research. So 2D materials are also working fine. Okay, so you may find photodetectors and other materials, means maybe in waveguides also. Okay, in sensors we are using 2D materials. Okay, so that ways, means lot of materials are available. Fine, so even you can mix and match, just you need to see are they compatible, or just when we are talking about the material or device level, we need to go to the physics level. Okay, so we cannot just pick up any or choose any material and start working on it unless or until we are aware of what may be its effect, what means, what actually we are looking for. So, okay, so just we cannot do hit and trial that way. We must have complete knowledge. But yes, we can use a variety of materials for silicon photonics. So these are waveguide shapes. This is a SEM picture, and you see this. This is a waveguide that we fabricate. This is an optical waveguide of silicon. Okay, and this is transparent for the given wavelength range. This is silicon dioxide, which is a buffer layer between silicon substrate and your waveguide. Okay, and this is how it looks like. Okay, and this is few nanometers, you know. This is just few nanometers. Not few, means 500 nanometers range for single mode. Okay, if you want to have multi-mode, then you can just increase the size of the waveguide. and height is also, I think it is 100 or 200, I suppose, 200 nanometers or 250. Fine. So these are again same ring resonators or modulators. Okay. So this was just to give a brief, although you can say we can just do a thesis on it, that the future prospects of optics on interconnects, in on-chip interconnects. Okay, so I just could bring or throw some light upon it, that why optics is a better option to be used, and what researchers can do upon that. Okay, so I'll just take a few more minutes, 10 to 15 more minutes, to tell you the latest or the future, upcoming future in case of on-chip optics. Okay, so one we have already discussed. This one we have already discussed. ONOC is optical network on chip. Okay, then we have biophotonic sensors. Okay, so biophotonic sensors, like what we do, we measure our SpO2 in COVID. We have been doing that frequently. Okay, we have been measuring our pulse rate. Okay, when we do anything, sonography or any kind of early detection. Okay, so this is biophotonic sensor to use light to sense even we can go up to the cell level. Okay, like people are working on how to treat cancer using this biophotonic sensors. Okay, and so that we can detect early what kind of changes are there in cells. Okay, so huge bandwidth, and this light can penetrate to the even to the size of the cell. Okay, so that is why your photonic sensors are very much used in your medical applications. Okay, then we have novel photonic structures. Plasmonics is another, you can say, field where, although they are used for sensors typically, okay, where we take advantage of band gap, okay, photonic band gap. Okay, and plasmonics, when we are using metal along with our normal semiconductors. Okay, and when we pass light through them, so a particular set of or range of wavelength or range of you can say, yes, wavelength is forbidden. Okay, so that we take advantage of, and we just sense the light or sense anything that we want. So you must have heard about the band gap, photonic band gaps, or photonic band gaps sensors or structures, photonic band gap structures. Okay, so these are also one of the latest field that emerged as you can say very novel thing, a very novel you can say structure recently in last 5 to 10 years. Okay, so although they are a little big in size and lossy also, but for a small, or you can say for very defined applications, we can use our photonic plasmonic structures. Okay, so then we have 2D materials. Okay, 2D materials we can use to work in active optoelectronic devices, like maybe generation or amplification. Generation means when we are talking about the lasers, or maybe photodetectors also, maybe modulator also. Okay, so 2D materials are still not that much explored, but yes, research is very much going on. Okay, then we have on-chip lasers. Okay, so laser shows we have already seen. So these are no doubt in demand, but we need hybrid integration. Along with the hybrid integration, when we're talking about, we mean that silicon and 3-5 integration. Okay, so that is hybrid IC. So where we have silicon materials or silicon devices or CMOS devices also, and we have 3-5 optoelectronic devices as well. Okay, PIC stands for photonic integrated circuits. So I may not have explained it earlier. Then another set of research area is mid-infrared photonics, which is generally used in sensing, medicine, or maybe military applications, astronomy, or communications. Okay, so this is also, you can say, is a very new or latest area, okay, which is working from 8 to 15 micrometer, or even it can start from 4 micrometer range also. So any range you pick up, and so it is broader. Okay, so it's better if you go for broad range to work on. Okay, so you see how much is the scope, how much is the future in on-chip optical devices. So all these, what I'm talking about is on-chip. Okay, so are we talking about the food industry, agriculture industry, the entertainment industry, the computer industry, the communication industry? So just cannot name. You just think of anything and it will be just at the speed of the light. Okay, so that time is not far away where we will be communicating at the speed of light, or you can say thought power. So how long it takes to give a thought to it or have a thought about anything. So that will be the speed. You see, if optics or optical communication are used at their full potential. Okay, so this is one of the latest area that one of my student is doing. And nanophotonic infrared. See, another term has emerged, that is nanophotonic. So now photonic is working in the range of nanometers or nanoscale. So this is a new term that has popped up, nanophotonic sensors or nanophotonic ICs or nanophotonic integration. Okay, it is just at the nano level. We are not talking about micro or anything. Okay, so infrared sensing, again, when we are talking about military applications, so thermal sensing we can do. Okay, high security areas that we can use in infrared sensing. We can have night vision cameras, okay, or navigation. So that all are the applications. Okay, so these are a few more things. I think I should wind up quickly. So augmented reality, photonics in COVID, this has really helped us in a great way. And so I hope we have overcome the COVID now. So this is future, you can say. So now artificial intelligence or neural networks has emerged as another thing that can be used along with optics. Okay, so AI and ML, you can say, using or in photonics or combining these two to come up with something new, that is quantum chip. So we have defense applications, and this we need not to mention that how much data your optical fibers are offering to us. Okay, and we always demand for more and more. So internet, you can see, its backbone is nothing but our optical fibers which have been laid down. So just we cannot imagine what will happen if this backbone is not there. What will happen to everything you see, from industry to education, anything. Okay, so everything will be in mess if optical fibers are not there. Okay, so you see how much it has increased from 2020, means 1995 to 2021. 6 million to 4.5 billion people across the globe. Okay, and this much is the traffic, which is monthly internet traffic at a global level. Yeah, so just to give a more impact to photonics, recently two, you can say, Nobel Prizes are given in this field only. Okay, in 2018 and 2020 for black hole formation using optics, and for inventions in the laser in 2018. Okay, so this is another motivation to us. If we are in this field, we are so, I should say, blessed to have or to work in the area of photonics or optics. Although it seemed to be outdated few years back, but now nothing is possible without optics. Okay, even electronics cannot do anything about photonics right now. Okay, so we must feel good and happy. So this is just to brief upon how photonics has helped in COVID-19. Okay, so screening, vaccinations, okay, and measuring immunity, tracking disease, diagnosis, that is all. And this is again what we have been discussing. So applications in all possible areas. Yeah, thank you. So if there is any doubt, you can please ask me. Please feel free. One thing more I would like to bring to a kind notice that at PEC, we have established now a clean room facility. There we have for up to micrometer scale, we can fabricate our electronic ICs or electronic samples. Okay, so I would invite everyone to see and to, if required, they can use, okay, as per whatever are the guidelines. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti Kedia, for such a nice interaction and talk. So now I open the session towards the participants. If they are having any queries, they can ask from our expert of day. Any queries you can ask. I think, ma'am, there's a question in the chat that how optical interconnects made more intelligent as an application of AI.
See, as of now, this virtual reality, or you can say this is not used in optical interconnect scenario, but AI is used for, you can say, how to analyze the transmission, or you can say the use of light. Okay, it is just for, you can say, optical gates, or for analyzing the behavior of the light. So there we are using learning algorithms, but as of now, it is not for optical communication on chip, for not for optical interconnects right now.
Yeah, any more questions towards the participants? Okay, if you still have any queries, you can mail me. I can, or directly contact an expert for further reviews. So now I ask Ashi to say a few words for ma'am.
I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. Jyoti Kedia, for her excellent presentation on-chip optical interconnects for future multi-core processors, and for providing such a deep insight on silicon photonics. Ma'am, you made this session very informative and very interesting, and I'm sure all the participants gained a lot from this session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ashi. Thank you, Professor Shilpa. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I convey to the participants that there will be a next session, which is the session 7th for day 3, which will start at 11:45. So I request all of you to join at 11:40. That session will be taken by Dr. Purnima. She'll be talking about performance analysis of non-orthogonal multiple axis over orthogonal multiple axis. So I request all the participants to join at 11:40 sharp. Thank you.